With a gentleman here, a gentleman I had the privilege of meeting a while back at Giant Stadium, picking up the Trinidad, and he was part of a technical committee. He impressed me on that first outing, and he's a new guy of Trinidad and Tobago football.
Thank you very much for the invitation to appear on this program. My name is Keith Lookloy. We are in the Arima Velodrome. I was born and grew up here in Arima, not far from the Velodrome. Those of you who know its location, I was born in the area of the Catholic Church, and I grew up there. I learned my football in Trinidad and Tobago. I represented Trinidad and Tobago at youth level, and then I went to the United States, to Washington D.C., Howard University, Lincoln Phillips Howard University. I'm on a scholarship in 1972, and while there, of course, took part in all the momentous events and the history making of those teams. Won the title in 74.
And that's football we're talking about.
That's football we're talking about. NCAA Division 1, the first all-black university to win a NCAA Division 1 title in any sport. And then I did graduate work there at Howard University, and lived in DC for a couple of years, and then returned to Trinidad in 1980, and have lived in Arima, came back to Arima, lived in Arima ever since, and been involved in a host of things, mainly football, coaching in particular, and at a national level as well, on the youth. Yes, absolutely. I don't want to talk about myself in that regard, but I have certificates from a variety of countries. NSCAA in the United States, being one, the English FA, the German FA. I've been to Central America and Brazil for months over the years, studying and certifying myself. That certification process began in 1991 or 92, if I remember correctly.
You have an extensive background in the echelon of the football/soccer.
Yes.
In regards to CONCACAF and FIFA. So maybe you should tell the people that part of your background.
Well, I returned to Trinidad from Washington D.C. in July of 1980. I went to teach in Malik on the 6th of October. Malik Senior Comprehensive, as it was then in Hova. I chose that school to go to. Everybody told me, "No, don't go in that school real bad." I said, "Well, that's the school for me." The 6th of October, I went to Malik. I stayed there for 13, 14 years. Then I went on to become national under-20 coach and the youth football officer in TTFA. From there, I went to FIFA. I worked for FIFA for several years. And from there to CONCACAF, right? At one point, I was CONCACAF technical director. And at FIFA, I was responsible for development projects in all of CONCACAF, 40-something countries or member associations. So that was a great opportunity. You know, I learned a lot about football in different parts of CONCACAF and in fact in different parts of the globe. Right, I have been to every continent except Australia. I've never been to Australia, but football took me to every other continent, to many countries, looking at football, studying football, working, and in particular in FIFA tournaments. I've been a member of the technical study group at FIFA tournaments, analyzing matches, writing those technical reports, and similarly for CONCACAF. Right, so I've been very lucky. In my career.
Trinidad and Tobago football is in good hands with somebody with that type of experience.
Well, I have a lot. I do,
especially when you're being challenged, taking over from a regime that
yes,
they have a little disrepute. So
yes,
you're in the hot seat.
Well, it is a hot seat. There are people looking to us, to me, to succeed, and there's also a small minority looking for us to fail.
As everything.
As in everything else, as in every walk of life. But you know, I've been able and lucky enough to garner a lot of international experience. I have very clear ideas about how our football should proceed, and I believe it to be my bounden duty to try to influence the course of the new TTFA as we move forward to a better future.
So maybe we should give the public the present title so they can collaborate your
Sure.
experience and
Sure. Well, currently I'm the technical director. I should say the chairman of the technical committee. The chairman of the technical committee of the new TTFA that has responsibility for the implementation of all the development programs. Under the technical committee, we have the technical department, the national teams department, the women's department, and the club licensing and compliance department. And the committee supervises all of this, and I'm the chairman. So it is a tremendous responsibility because these four departments will chart the way forward for us and make the TTFA an efficient and modern football organization. So it requires a lot of work, a lot of planning and careful implementation, and that's what I'm doing now.
You guys won the election. I guess it was democratic.
Yes.
And since you guys took over, and when that was January?
The election was November 25th.
And there was a whole transformation in Trinidad and Tobago administration. So what functions besides that? How is that going? How is that going? Administration?
Well, we have a new officer team, and I did not run in the election. I chose not to.
Is there a reason why you chose?
Yes, there's more than one reason actually. Quite frankly, it's a 4-year term, and in a few weeks in April I will be 67. I do not intend to be involved in the administration of football into my 70s. Yes, so that was the first reason. Secondly, excuse me, because and I'll be frank, I tend to be a controversial person or figure. There's a lot of people who support and others who don't, and I thought that it was politically the best choice not to participate in the election, not to run for a position, because it could have challenged the movement or undermined the movement to remove John Williams. So whatever egotistical reason I might have had,
was the previous
president and his administration, if we could call it such. So I decided, rather than be egotistical and perhaps undermine the opportunity to remove John Williams, I would stay out of it and let others run for office. And that proved to be the right choice.
That left us perception that you are pressing the buttons from behind, I think, and that's why I wanted to get the interview with you, so the public could hear from you. This is the perception of you pressing the buttons, so they know your description. So what you would say to people who are perceive it that way?
Well, the President William Wallace is someone I supported and is a man I respect. Right? It would be entirely disrespectful of me or anyone else to presume that we could, or I could put him in office and then tell him what to do. I need to have, and I do have more respect for people than that. The fact remains, however, that I do have serious influence in what transpires in the TTFA today. I won't hide from that. Everybody knows it. And in fact, there are two priorities in the TTFA today. One is to get football back, football on the field, back on its legs. But that is not just about players and coaches. That requires careful planning and implementation of plans. But the other important aspect, and in fact the first priority, is to stabilize the organization financially. I'm not involved in that, but I depend on the people who are doing that to be effective in doing so and to create and organize the finance for the football aspect that I have responsibility for. So we do have to work hand in hand, because you see, frankly, it's the chicken and the egg. The better the teams do, the more people and sponsors will gravitate to the teams, which generates the money. So it's the chicken and the egg. Which comes first? Do you need the money to create a better product, or do you have to fight to improve the product and get some money to further improve it? So it's a chicken and egg situation. We're trying to do our best with that. There's lots of people who remain out there conducting guerrilla warfare and sniping, looking for every opportunity to try to undermine the new administration.
Well,
that's normal.
Political.
That's right. That's politics. That's normal. That is so, whether it's the Football Association or the national government. In any country, national politics. So we understand that for what it is.
So how
and
is it
we're going
looking?
ahead.
How is it looking?
Well, we're making tremendous progress, right? We have structured the football side of the operation. We're implementing those structures. The first team that we put out, which was the women's under-20 team in the CONCACAF Championship in the Dominican Republic, they just returned home. We had a meeting with the staff of that team yesterday. The technical committee did. Excellent meeting. We've drawn lessons from that. That team was the first, or is the first team coming out of Trinidad and Tobago national team to emerge from CONCACAF group stage competition in 5 years. We haven't done that for 5 years.
So that's a start. That's progress.
That is a positive start. Yes. They did something that we haven't been able to do for 5 years. This is whether it is Gold Cup play or women's qualifying in for the Olympic tournament at the Caribbean level. In October or November last year, they hosted here in Trinidad and Tobago. The women's team came last and failed to emerge from the Caribbean group trying to qualify for the CONCACAF tournament. That's right. We came last at home in Caribbean qualifying.
Yeah.
So these girls have set the stage for high-level performance. They got to the quarterfinal. They lost to Mexico. Yes. And now the teams that are to follow, the women's under 17 in April. In a few days they leave. They leave on the 8th of April for Mexico. And all the teams that we will roll out over the course of the year now have that as the standard. It's no longer enough for them to come back and say we got out of the group. Now you have to the ambition now is to try and get to the semi-final. Yes, and this is how we have to measure progress.
But the whole atmosphere towards the Trinidad and Tobago football, you know, the senior men's program is the elite program. We know FIFA World Cup is the number one. I would think part of the knock on the past administration, whether it be administrated or not, was the results of these senior men's teams. You have a new coach. How is that going? If you're aware, if you're updated, how is that going?
Well, you're absolutely right. The national senior men's coach, senior team men's coach, that is Terry Fenwick, he also reports all of the teams and coaches have to submit plans for the development of their team to the technical committee, and they also have to submit a monthly report, the managers as well, because one of the problems of the last administration and football under the national team football under the last administration was that there was no planning and no accountability. A team would go to a tournament, come dead last, and just come back home and nothing came of it. The coach and the staff would just continue normal service. Not going to be the case. The coaches that is now have to tell us what their plans for the immediate future are and the long-term plans are for the team, and then they also have to account. Richard Hood, for example, the head coach of the women's under-20 team that just came back from Dominican Republic, submitted an excellent report on the tournament that the committee will assess, question, draw lessons from, and plan for future work. Yes, and Fenwick himself is subject to that process. We have 2 matches to play against Canada in Vancouver at the end of this month. The first FIFA window of the year, 23 to 31 March.
Against Canada or just
2 against Canada.
Where's the same venue?
Same venue in Vancouver, and those matches we look forward to eagerly.
Yeah, that's a challenge.
That's right. That is no mean opposition. Canada is a serious team these days. They beat United States not so very long ago, a few months ago, at home. So we're looking at this as the first serious test because, of course, in the second window, in June, we have to play for Gold Cup qualification. Yes?
Yeah.
Which will be in 2021. So the planning is underway for that. We're going to be bringing in some new players. Some of them have never played for Trinidad and Tobago before, quite frankly. Some of them are not known to the public of Trinidad and Tobago. I could add, therefore, by further explanation, that I mean the foreign born. A couple of them have played for other countries at youth level. So we have to get clearance for them. So we're trying to build, Fenwick is looking to build a new team. And the technical committee and the TTFA will support that.
Whoa, so that's super. So what's for you? You say you're not going to go into your late years into football. So you on a serious agenda. What's the immediate? What results you would like to see? I mean, the game against Canada, the senior men's.
Well, we need
win, lose or draw.
It's not so much win, lose or draw. First of all, we need to get serious performance. Yes, serious performance always takes care of results, or most times will take care of results. Sometimes you're lucky and you play bad football and win, or you scrape a result, a draw, what have you. But generally speaking, over the long haul, good results depend on good performance. And in this immediate case, what we're looking for is progress from the very poor performance that we had under Dennis Lawrence, right? Who had the worst record of a national coach in the history of our national team's football, international football, as an independent country, which began in 1962.
They were maintaining that the personnel weren't there.
Well, you can't complain about that, because how is it possible for the new coach and the new TTFA to find new personnel in a matter of 3 months? How is that possible? Yeah, they were in office for 4 years. They were in office for 4 years, and you have to go find your players. Whether those players, and we have the North American program now, talent identification program, that is doing very good work for us. The national under-20 women's team that went to the Dominican Republic, we had 7 players out of North America, by which I mean Canada and the United States, right? The under-17 team likewise. We're already getting boys into the national, young men into the national under-20 men's team. And similarly, we're finding players in North America and in Europe for the senior men's national team. You have to go find your talent, right? Whether they're born here and have a passport, or they're born abroad and we have to get a passport, is all permissible under FIFA law. And it is the responsibility of the National Association to get these players and make them available to the coach.
But Mr. Lookloy, that's the standard practice, international standard practice.
Absolutely.
So it's kind of surprising that you're emphasizing that and saying that it wasn't done. So in moving forward now, your administration is intact. If you're going to be coming out of the system due to age, are you going to, you have backup? Because as I said initially, you're the man pressing the buttons behind the scene and the perception. Are you going to work on beyond the football now? Because as I said in going into this, I have you as a talented and qualified, experienced individual in the field. That's how I met you.
Let me respond to that on different levels. I will be 67 in April, the 14th of April. But I'm not an old man. Right? There are people who are telling me, Keith, you have 2-3 terms left in you. Right? But I've been telling them this is my last tilt, my last merry-go-round ride. Right? I will do what I need to do, and then I will go off, because I have other pursuits. Right? I have my family, I have grandchildren, I have my own club, which will be 28 years old this year. This is our home venue here, the Arima Velodrome. We are the Arima Club. We have support in Arima, and I'll go see about that. I have a lot of life left in me, God willing.
So when you're riding off into the twilight, catch you at Arima Velodrome.
That's right, but let me come to the main part of your question. What next? You see, the point is this. In our national life, not just in football, in our national life, we allow people, and we tend to allow the centralization of everything in one person or two, right? So that when that one person departs for whatever reason, as we say in Trinidad and Tobago, all fall down. Everything fall down. I do not intend that to be the case. We cannot allow that to be the case.
So what to be negative on that too?
Well, what is the antidote to that, as I like to call it, one-manism? What is the one-womanism? What is the antidote to that? The antidote to that is structure, process, and culture. If we create, and we have to create structures that survive the departure of any person, we have to establish process and procedure that survive the departure of any one person, and we have to create a culture that is automatic or self-automated and could survive the departure of any one person.
That's a very important statement you're making there.
Yes, absolutely. And that is hard work, because in the process of creating that culture, you will meet resistance. People who don't want things to change. People who like to operate in their own way according to whatever they feel to do without being accountable to anyone. You know, I read and I study military history and philosophy. You know, Sun Tzu, The Art of War, and one of his statements and guide to how I operate is, you know, in the midst of chaos lies opportunity. Now, there are some people who treat that in a negative way. They love chaos because it gives them the opportunity to do whatever they please. Now, I, as the general on the other side, understand that there are people who are waiting to seize opportunity in chaos. So my job is to help to remove chaos. And the antidote to chaos is structure, process, and culture. Right? That could be self-automated and remove the opportunities for people to exploit chaos. So I have a short-term plan and a busy agenda to try and ensure that in the couple of years that I have left to do what I have set myself to do, that it is done to the best of my ability, and then ride off. Go live my life and let other people carry it on. Football, I met football, and I will leave football.
Well, that's very good. Sincerely wish you all the best on that last part of your agenda. You're right, based on your philosophy now, some people might be hoping you fail. If you put that structure in place, and as I say, I have no question about your ability.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity to speak to your people.
Yeah, and just people talk sometimes about your temperament, and you already said that in the opening of this stuff. And hopefully, with your experience now, you try to temper it down, you know, and to get your agenda passed through and be successful. So I want to thank you and wish you all the best with the Trinidad and Tobago Football Association.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.